Clearly so, and he specifically mentions that salafist organizations in the country have been receiving donations for a particular few purposes, but they are hardly met, and the money is being used for many others. And it also comes to light that those who subscribe to this school of...
All right, Mr. Chandrasekhar is with us here on the broadcast. Thank you, sir, for talking to us. Now, what is it specifically that you've written to the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh pertaining to Zakir Naik, sir?
No, I think, my letter was a broader letter about the FCRA route being misused by a large number of, very, let's say, salafist type of organizations that are using the FCRA route to attract money and that are essentially creating, the issues that we are now seeing, and Zakir Naik is one manifestation of this. But there is, in my opinion, and there is media reports and other reports to that fact, that there are many such institutions that have brought money into the country through the FCRA route and that are being misused. So I have asked the Ministry of Home Affairs to look at two things. One is to conduct a complete audit, not just of Zakir Naik, but of all of the organizations, religious organizations that have received money through the FCRA route, and also probably look to start a discussion which is prescribing new norms for FCRA, where money is not brought into religious institutions for religious causes, but rather for real infrastructure and real work. The FCRA route is being misused, and it should be used properly.
Okay, Mr. Chandrasekhar, that's an important point that you do outline. You insist that the FCRA route is being misused by many of these NGOs, and that's the reason why you're calling for an overhaul. But you believe that this is actually going to be the real challenge, because let's not forget, even in the case of Zakir Naik, we had seen a lot of political patronage that perhaps he was enjoying. The very reason, he continued receiving these foreign funds unabated, and it actually took so long for anyone to even intervene and red flag the entire situation.
Well, and that is precisely why I think an audit needs to be done. We have intelligence agencies, we have on-the-ground organizations that can do an independent audit, because there is clearly a paper trail of which are the organizations that have received the money through the FCRA route. It is not a difficult task for the government to undertake a verification and audit of where that money has gone and for what purposes that money has been used. I mean, in the absence of that, there will always be this politicking. But when facts, evidence and figures are placed before the country, there is no room for politicking. That is why I have said two things I have requested in Home Ministry. One is to actually conduct a detailed study of who are the ones who have received FCRA route donations and what has that money been used for. Over the last 10 years, I think it is not difficult for the government of India to do a very thorough, very precise audit with facts and figures. And once the facts and figures, probably through a report, is placed before the nation, there is no room for all of this politicking on saying that, we will favor this and we will favor that. Because if an organization has received money that is being misused, it will be out in the open in front of all the people of India, including, I think there is a myth that says that this is in some ways going to be anti the Muslim community of India. Of course not. Many Muslim people are also asking for this kind of verification because they worry that money from the outside is coming and disturbing their communities, distorting their communities and creating salafist kind of presences within the Indian Muslim community that is very, very disturbing.
And sir, the last question, that I really feel like asking you is, if we take a broader picture, now, whenever it comes to NGOs, a lot of foreign funds that they do receive, the government believes they need to be accountable. They actually need to tell us where are they using those funds from, where do they get those funds and for what purpose. But then many of them are here alleged that the present government has been hounding them. So where is the balance? How do we reach, a balance as far as those allegations and the requirement and a transparency in this norm is concerned?
No, I think it's a very good question, and I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the last many years there has been no verification. NGOs have had to submit a sort of a certificate saying this is how they use the money, but the government has done very little verification whether that certification is true or not. It is very, very, very necessary for the country's overall stability that external money that is brought into the country is not misused against the nation's interest. And that job is left to the Home Ministry to do by verifying that the NGOs have received the money and have used the money for the purposes that they have received the money. It is not enough to just receive a certificate from an NGO saying we have used the money for A, B and C. It is important for the government to verify and audit that the money has been used for proper purposes and not for purposes that are unlawful, destabilizing or against national interest.